Hello, my name is Ron Cornelius. I'm going to tell you about an organization called Shelterbox. How many of you are familiar with Shelterbox? Show of hands. One person. Who knows on? Okay, a couple of you. Okay. Okay, great, great. Normally what I do is a little presentation with the water filter. I call it the dirty water challenge. So this would be a water filter that they would use. You'd pour dirty water into it. Let's pretend this is filthy water. Let this sit for a while. And normally I have this set up and it drains for 15-20 minutes while we're doing the presentation. And we'll just pretend that's happening. At the end, we'll get back to that.
Okay.
So let's see if this, make sure this works here. Okay. I first became involved in disaster relief in 2005 when Hurricane Sandy hit the Texas coast at Orange. Stand there. I helped in feeding stations and removing, clearing roads and removing trees off of buildings like the one you see here. Those people, their world has just been turned upside down. But the government, as soon as the roads are clear, there's ice, there's water, there's food, there's medicine. Pretty much what they need, there are people there to help that community. Suppose for a minute this is your house. Obviously, it's devastating. Suppose, but you're not in Orange, Texas, but suppose for a minute you're in Oran, Algeria, and that's your house. What are you going to do? Where are you going to live? What are you going to do for clean water? How are you going to cook your food? How are you going to keep your family safe and warm in the darkness? There's probably no one there to help you unless there's someone from Shelterbox. Shelterbox is there with shelter. We provide the essentials people need to recover from a disaster. Tents, and I'll get into that in a minute, but back in 2000, the year 2000, a Rotary club in England noticed when there was these disaster reliefs around the world that people there are aid organizations there with food, with medicine, but there was nobody addressing the shelter need. So here are people trying to rebuild their lives, and there's nothing for them to go to, and they're one of the most difficult times in their life. So Shelterbox was born out of that need, and they fill that need in a pretty big way now all around the world. Here's what comes in a shelter box. Well, first of all, the durable container, it's, I didn't bring one, but they're a little bit bigger. Well, they're probably, I'm going to say 3 feet by 2 feet by, 3 feet, 2.5 feet high. But they've got the tent, as you'll see on the side there. There's the waterproof ground cloths, thermal blankets, mosquito netting, basic tools, things to cook with. You've got a stove, a wood-burning stove, and then also activities packs for the kids to have something to do. And those run for $1,000, gets that box delivered to where it's going to be needed by the people. That also provides storage from the time it's put together, and also the training of the individuals that go with it. The response team members actually go out with these boxes and make sure that they do get to the people. If you just delivered it to a country, you just don't really know what they do with it. If we can't deliver it to the people, then we don't send boxes. That's just how it is. This is the Shelterbox tent. This is probably one of the best tents on the market for disaster relief, and it's a pretty nice tent. I've slept in it a couple of times, and it's very spacious. It's designed to hold an extended family, which we say 6, that could be 10, I guess. I mean but it is a pretty good tent. It's got an interior lining. It also has an exterior lining for cold weather when needed. These are also designed to withstand up to a 70-mile-an-hour wind. They've been tested in wind and rain tunnels.
It's really about 7 feet.
You can stand up in it, no problem. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, here we go. Shelter box solution. That's a little bit different, or a lot different than the shelter box. It provides some of the same items, they just don't come in a box. The main thing is, if you buy a box, say $1,000 for a box, you get a number, a tracking number, and you can track that box. You know when and where that box will be delivered. The shelter box solution, they still provide those kind of things. There's just no tracking number with it. For instance, when, let's see, there was the tsunami in Japan. What they needed was scarves and hats and gloves, cold weather gear. So they delivered 10,000 sets of that. I think in Philippines, they needed mosquito netting and some tents. So that was a shelter box solution there. Pakistan, a few years ago, had flooding. We delivered 20,000 life straws, like I showed here, because that's what they needed. This just gives shelter box a little more flexibility to meet the demands of the people that are in need. Beyond the box, this is along the same lines as the shelter box solution. This is for people's houses who maybe their house has not been destroyed, but it's damaged. You got a hole in the roof or cracks or whatever. It's hammers, nails, hose, shovel, tarp, rope, and nails. Apparently the nails are certainly in high demand out where they're needed. So that's a good solution for that situation. How do we do it? It's done through volunteers. There are 250 response volunteers around the world, and they go at a moment's notice to a disaster. I guess this is in Ethiopia. They're delivering the boxes there, but they're a highly trained group that are pretty skilled at what they do. How is this possible? Well, like so many things, money's important, and volunteers around the world support Shelter Box. Businesses, Rotary clubs, individuals, foundations, they all contribute to make Shelter Box possible. The importance of Rotary. I think I'd mentioned earlier that it was born out of a Rotary project in Great Britain. And Rotary is really been very, very important part of Shelter Box, not just because they raise the vast majority of the funds that Shelter Box collects, but they're also there in country when there's a disaster. So, they're there with logistics, they're there with local knowledge, they're there with translators, they're there with housing if needed. I know they were particularly helpful for us. I was with the group that went down to Nicaragua with the dental program, and the local Rotary Club just, what do you need? They provided all those things. Translators, they knew where to go, how to do things. It was very helpful. So it's not just the money. In country, they're invaluable. Notable deployments. I'm just going to go through a couple of the, I guess, the things that really stand out about Rotary. First of all, they have deployed 250 times in the 15-year history. They have been to 90 different countries, and they have helped over 1 million people. Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004 or 2005. Shelter Box delivered 22,000 shelter boxes to 4 different countries. That was a monumental task for an organization that was only 4 years old. This kind of put Shelter Box on the world stage for disaster relief. Haiti, we're all familiar with Haiti, the 7.0 magnitude hurricane that killed 300,000 people, left 1 million people homeless. Shelter Box was there with 27,000 shelter boxes and 35,000 tents. Shelter Box provided a quarter of all tented shelter in Haiti. Northeast United States, people may not know so much about our involvement there, but we were there and provided cold weather gear, hats, gloves, scarves. I think we helped out about 6,000 people with that, and also children's activities packets for the kids.
This was Sandy?
Yes, Hurricane Sandy. Yes, I didn't mention that. Syrian crisis. This has been ongoing since 2011 and will continue. There are 9.5 people misplaced from the crisis. 9.5 million, 9 million, something like that. 2.5 million people have crossed the borders. So they're in Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, I think Iraq, and Kyrgyzstan. And Shelter Box is providing we've provided aid to about 5,000 families there. The Philippines, hurricane, what was it? Haiyan, the largest storm, I think, on record, with 195 mile an hour winds and gusts up to 235. Shelter Box was there to help out. The Philippines is kind of an interesting place because in the last 14 years, I think they've had a disaster 12 times. So we permanently have stock in waiting in the Philippines. There have been 100 different response team members that have been sent to Philippines, which is the most of any country. Nepal earthquake, our response. I'm just going to kind of read the highlights of what's happening over there because it's changing all the time. This just came in. I just did this afternoon. There are 7,500 people that reportedly have been killed, 14,500 people injured. That's likely to rise. Hundreds of thousands of people are sleeping outdoors or in makeshift shelters. There are currently, just so you know how Shelter Box is involved, 12 Shelter Box response team members working in Nepal. We had SRTs on the ground on Monday doing assessments and checking out the damage there. We also had been in, I think we were there earlier in the year and had a stockpile of Shelter Boxes. Those went out immediately to different hospitals in the area and were used for, trauma shelters because a lot of the hospitals were damaged as well. The government, they're just overwhelmed, and there's aid coming in. This is a picture of a tent. I think that's set up outside of a hospital or being used as a hospital. Current deployments. You can go to ShelterBox USA and see what ShelterBox is doing. I think we have 7 or 8 different deployments going on right now. Preparing for the future. You can see on the bottom, I think that's what the box number looks like, the tracking number, but the boxes that are being used right now in Nepal were ready 6, 8, maybe a year ago. I mean, they had to be ready and deployed, pre-positioned in an area. I know a lot of them came out of Dubai. I think there are nine places around the world where boxes are pre-positioned to be ready to deploy. So we need to have those boxes ready now to be used in the future. So, I think I'd mentioned earlier they're $1,000 per box. But that's something that you can't wait for a disaster to happen. You have to be ready for it. Here is, I guess, kind of a chart of what's happened. You can see with Haiti, there's a great deal of money generated, and the events that get a lot of press, like Nepal, help generate a lot of money. But you can see in 2013, 2014, there wasn't a major disaster in 2014. They raised half the money they did the year before. And yet, when you look at deployments, we're still doing a lot of deployments. I think it averages 23, 24 a year, every couple of weeks. It seems like there's something going on. So when you look at them together, we need to be, right now we're getting a lot of press, and so we're raising money, but
Losing money?
well, we're actually taking in a lot of money now, and
But I mean, overall, you're losing.
No, I don't think so. No, we're not losing money. We're just not all the deployments are as a major disaster is much more expensive than a minor conflict or minor disaster. How can you help? Well, you could buy a shelter box. You could help fundraise for a shelter box. You could be a volunteer, let your community know. You could be an ambassador like myself, just letting the community know and help raise funds for shelter box. Shelter box is a great organization. The ambassador training I thought was just great. This is made 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, down in Mason, Texas. And this is a mock deployment of going to a pretend country. There's a Red Cross lady in the middle. The guy in the blue hat is a UN, posing as a UN guy. We are doing training, trying to cross the border into this third world country that's heavily conflicted. The training was great. I really got a lot out of it, and really have an appreciation for what our response team members do when they go to deliver these boxes. Shelter Box is a 4-star charity, which means it meets and exceeds industry standards in what we do. And I told you about the test, the dirty water test. So let's suppose we put the water in, and it's filtered through. The dirty water now comes out. I hit the button here and come up with, oh, look at this, how clean it is. So here, the dirty water I put in is now drinkable. Who would, if I could get a volunteer, would anyone want to drink the purified water? And if you do, I will text $10 to Shelter Box and donate $10. Do I have any takers? Any takers? Ken?
Do it, Robin. Do it.
Okay, I will drink the water.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to die, but I drank the water.
Okay. All right. And so I'm putting in here, and here's how it works. Oh, let me do the next. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm putting in 222, typing in shelter, and when I hit send, that's going to send a $10 donation to Shelter Box. You're probably thinking, well, big deal. Well, let's flip it. Okay, how about if I drink the water? How many of you are willing to do what I did, and a $10 donation to Shelter Box? Any takers?
I'll do that.
Okay, get your phone out. Put in 20222.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I want in on this too.
Okay, I'll wait. Oh, you can't text and drive.
Obi, what's the number?
20.
This is in your text.
Yeah,
No,
you have to text it.
this is the number, yeah. So you put in the number 20222, and then in the text portion, in the body of your message, you would put in shelter.
Oh,
And then,
Does it have to be in all caps, or can you just?
I don't think it has to be in all caps. I think what I did is right up there and it worked. So,
Cool. Okay.
and you push send, and then you'll get a response back that says, if you want to do it, type yes. And if you don't have AT&T, I don't know what'll happen. It may not work.
Agree. Yes. Terms that say help. Okay. It's not cancel. Yes.
Oh, I just drank the water, by the way.
Oh.
I mean,
yeah. He drank the water.
I drank the water.
You did drink the water.
no reason you can do it on the tollway.
All right. All right.
And you just got $10.
Okay.
$10.
So we just raised, I don't know, there's four
At
of us.
least $20. I don't know if Rick.
Well, I'm in. So there's 40.
It's done. I'm
Okay.
just waiting for my response.
Okay.
It's a company phone.
So,
I
oh,
actually got a receipt.
oops. So,
But don't you
I did this at the Grand Prairie Club. We raised, I also took cash, but we raised $500.
This one's a company phone.
So and I have this slide. I guess I should have taken it down. May 1st had a charitable foundation matching gift of $100,000. So the $500 that we raised was matched. So it was $1,000 we donated because I sent it in right away. And it's a good thing because the match was gone in 4 days. So the $100,000 has already been matched, and they're working on getting some more. But as of now, there's no matching funds. So that's great. It's great that it went away. I mean, it's great that that they used it all. So anyway, that concludes my presentation.